So welcome again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for our DIY Musical Instruments Play Shop. My name is Scott Nielsen, and we're here with Elin Anderson. We're both coordinators here at the Ames Center. We are very honored to have you joining us today, both in person and virtually. Would ask that, again, if you're comfortable as a virtual participant, just so we can kind of see who's with us and you get to see us, we'd love to see you. So if you're comfortable, go ahead and turn your cameras on and leave them on. We're not going to be staring at the screens. It's just nice to see faces instead of black screens. So that would be great. Welcome again. And we're going to do a lot of playing this morning just by way of introduction. For those of you who are in the room, again, we have snacks and breakfast items over here. Help yourself at any time. You don't have to wait for break time or anything. Restrooms are out the door. Take a left-hand turn and right down at the corner. You'll find restrooms down there. We even made sure they were unlocked. So that's good. I didn't want to do that, I think. Let me try this. Boop. There we go. One way that we like to kind of break down the wall between in-person and virtual participants is have a platform where we can all share together what's happening. And so we have this tool called Padlet. And if you're in the room or virtual, if you want to either shoot that QR code with your phone, or there's a short little URL that you could enter into a browser. And when you go there, you will see a column that says DIY musical instruments. And to add a picture or a comment, just click on the plus sign underneath that, and we can share what's going on with our creations this morning. So we can do that in the room here, and if you're doing it virtual, that would be great. If you happen to accidentally put a picture in the wrong column, don't worry about it, we'll move it over. So you cannot goof that up, so don't worry, no pressure. But we'd love to have everybody sharing along the way. And we always like process, not always necessarily perfect finish projects. So if you're maybe struggling with something or you do something a little bit different, then feel free to show your picture anyway, or show a picture of something halfway done. We love the process as much as the finished project. Elin, I think somebody might have just asked a question about recording. We are indeed recording this session, as we will record all of our play shops, and then those are available on our YouTube channel, and we'll share that with you maybe at some point. So anyway, there's Padlet. We will put that code back up, so if you're not quite there yet, that's fine. So today's theme, of course, is DIY musical instruments. And here are some of the things we're going to make. We're going to make a cup plucker, a hand drum, something called a cuica, craft stick, harmonica, and some membranophones. All right, so a lot of fun stuff to do. And at the end, we're going to have a little mini concert all together, playing the instruments that we have created. So that's going to be a fun moment right at the end. Today is kind of a special day, especially for us at the Ames Center for Math and Science Education. We are having an eclipse here in California, in Fresno. We will not see the full eclipse, but it will be almost full. And that's actually going to happen at 9:22. So for those of you in the room, we're just going to invite you to go outside. We'll talk maybe for just a minute about a safe way. We're not going to go out and stare at the sun, but a safe way to see the eclipse and the effects of the eclipse. And that actually lasts about 5 minutes. So there might be a little lull for you virtual participants. If you're in the path of the eclipse, by all means, go out and see the eclipse. It should be a pretty interesting thing to happen. Another one will be happening in the springtime, but I think there's going to be quite a gap before it happens again. There is a website there from NASA if you want a little bit more information about the eclipse and how it actually happens and what it means and a safe way to watch it. So about 9:15, we'll probably just take a quick little break, run outside, ooh and ah, and come back in and keep making instruments. Okay, great. So let's actually start playing. Okay, this is a play shop, it's not a workshop. So let's explore a little bit and let's talk about sound and what sound is. What do we know about sound? Yeah, what do we know? Okay. What else do we know?
It's a vibration.
Okay, so it has to do something with vibration, right? Something needs to be vibrating for us to hear sound. How do we hear sound? How do we perceive that?
We use our ears, we use our body, we can feel it sometimes.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because some people, of course, don't have full use of the ear, but they can still hear, they can still experience sound. One of my heroes in life, I'm a musician, is a lady named Evelyn Glennie, who is a professional world-class percussionist, musician, performs on stages all around the world, and she is profoundly deaf. But she feels the sound and contributes as musically as anybody else does. So that's fantastic. So when we talk about vibration, one thing that's interesting to keep in mind is we are not hearing the vibration. What the vibration is really doing is it's creating changes in air pressure. So if you think of something moving back and forth and vibrating, we're not hearing that object. What we're really experiencing is a difference in air pressure. And as that air pressure, if you think of like ocean waves, well, that's what's happening invisibly in the air. As that moves towards our ears, then there's little hairs in our ears that vibrate and pick up that change in air pressure. And then that gets translated into a chemical electrical signal that then our brain processes and makes sense of in different ways. So really all we're doing this morning for the next 3 hours is changing air pressure. If you think about it that way, it's a real simple process. We're just going to be changing some air pressure by making things vibrate. So one thing we might want to think about is what are some different ways that that can happen? So there's different types of instruments, and people have kind of categorized these in some simple ways. The first kind is stringed instruments. And these are just some examples of the thousands and thousands of stringed instruments that take place all around the world. Anybody think of another kind of instrument? There you go, my favorite. I'm a drummer. Percussion instruments, where we actually are striking something to cause that vibration to happen. Okay, and the third kind are wind instruments. Yeah, so we're actually using a wind of some kind to make the air vibrate. So again, some examples from all around the world of different kinds of wind instruments. And then just recently, and I don't mean recently like last Tuesday, but recently in human history, a third kind or a fourth kind of instrument has come about, and that is electronic instruments. Okay, so thinking about, 100 years ago, there was no such thing as an electric guitar. But now we have learned how to harness electricity to create different sounds. And that really has exploded and really changed the way we listen to music, to experience music, how we even can record music, which even not too long ago was not even physically possible. So interesting things to think about. So let's start playing and play a little bit just with some really simple things. So on your tables are some hangers and some pieces of string. Now, if you're joining us virtually, we did not send out a hanger. There's nothing magic about the hanger. If you have a metal hanger, you can grab one. Or if you have something metal, metal kind of tends to work best for this. So maybe a spoon from the kitchen, some kind of utensil, metal. Some people use metal straws in their Starbucks cups if you have one of those. So just take a piece of string and tie it around your metal object. And if you put one of those strings in each hand, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the string on our finger, and then we're going to push on our ear nubs. Okay? You know where your ear nubs are? I had to look this up. I always have to look this up. Did you know there's an official name for this little thing? It's called a tragus. Tragus.
So it's not an ear nub.
Yeah, so it's you learn something. If nothing else today, you can go home and impress your friends and family by saying, "Stop saying ear nub. It's called a tragus." So, all right. So we're going to push in on the tragus with the string, and then if you just bash the hanger or whatever metal object you're using up against something, and see what you hear. So what are we hearing?
Bell.
Kind of like a bell?
Yeah. Bell.
Okay. Chimes from a hanger? Really? That's all. You mean like when the church bells ring, it's really just a bunch of hangers up there? I don't think so. Anybody want to experiment? Change the location of the string and see, does that change anything? Still? Yeah. What if you bent the hanger? Would that change anything? I don't know. Never actually tried that. Mine got really deep and like almost sounded like underwater. Anybody who is online, we always enjoy having you contribute to the chat, or even if you just want to unmute your microphones and shout out, we'll hear you. What are you hearing? What are you noticing?
I can imagine. Okay, hey, come here.
If you do this with a classroom with kids, it actually is kind of funny to see 30 people like bobbing around. It's pretty fun. Yeah. So let's think a little bit about, so where was the vibration in that? So the string's vibrating. What's getting the string to vibrate? Right. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, yeah, the metal hanger starts the vibration and it translates up the string. So I kind of maybe got a little inaccurate earlier that it's all air. Well, sometimes it's air, sometimes it's water. You know, sound travels through water. Think about how whales talk to each other. Isn't it, you know? So it's all air, but it's different waves of pressure that's happening there. So anyway, enough of that. Let's actually start having, Elin come have us make our first kind of real instrument here.
people exploring in or sharing in the chat.
Yes, and I will unmute. So again, welcome. We're so glad everybody's here this morning in person and virtually. Always nice to spend a Saturday morning doing some making and tinkering. So the first instrument we're going to make is called a cup plucker. Just based on that name, cup plucker, what kind of instrument do you think it will be? A string. I like that acting out. So, yeah, I think I can do a new share. So I'm going to switch my
Sorry, I can't see.
camera.
I don't know if
I
it's
need to
playing on the
share.
screen.
There you go.
Okay.
You got it.
So
Is-
the materials you'll need are the little cup. You have a little cup and a rubber band and a paper clip. And a pencil. A pencil or a pen, we're going to use the pencil to actually just poke a hole. And so if you notice, all these objects or materials we're going to use are nothing special. We're just going to be putting them together to make instruments that make sound. So it's interesting to think about things that you see around you that you can use in different ways. Today we're talking about making sound. So what can you see around you that you could use to make sound? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our rubber band and the paper clip, and you're going to secure the rubber band around the paper clip. So I just looped it around so it like that. And then I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to gently poke a hole. And you should have, those of you attending in person, you should have pencils and hole punchers and all that good stuff in your bin, plastic bin that's on the table. And then we're going to put our this is the tricky part. We're going to pull the rubber band through the cup. And so if you see on the inside, the paper clip is securing the rubber band. And then the rubber band is on the outside of the cup. And then that's it. And then we can pluck the rubber band, and it should make an interesting sound. Wondering, does it make a sound if you put it up to your ear? Oh. So So yeah, hold it up to your ear. I wonder if I hold it the other way. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So again, think about the vibration or vibrating and air pressure. What are we making vibrate here? The rubber band.
The cup kind of vibrates too.
Yeah, and the cup, what do you think the cup is almost, is it helping? Are the sound waves going through the cup as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Just like with the hanger and the string, and when you put it up to your ear, the sound waves were going through the string up to your ear. It's the same thing. It's going through the cup. If you actually, if you're holding the like while I'm doing this, not only can I hear, but I can feel the cup moving, which is interesting too.
Got some great exploration going on. Somebody virtually is turning it into a percussion instrument and hitting the cup while holding the string. And somebody said,
Awesome.
what if we try it with more than one rubber band?
Ah.
I love the exploration. That's what play shops are all about.
Yeah, I wonder if you put the hole in a different spot, if it would make a difference. So again, that's the cup plucker. And again, I have one that's, you can decorate them, but that's essentially it. A lot of very simple, again, materials you all know, but used in a different way. The next instrument we're going to make takes a bit more tinkering, and it's called a hand drum. And so what kind of instrument do you think it is? If it's a hand, it's a percussion. So we're going to be making an instrument where the vibration is made from hitting something. So you're going to need your straw. You have one of these partition cups. You'll need a pencil or a marker. I'm gonna grab a marker so people. You should have some beads. And some yarn. A big index card. And some tape. I'm going to use painter's tape, but you can use regular clear tape. Oh, and you also need your hole punch. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm flipping my portion cup over, and I'm going to trace a circle. So that's going to be the top of our drum. And we want to be able to glue it on top. So I'm going to cut it out, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a, I'm not going to cut right on the line. I'm going to cut a little bit outside so it will glue. Yes, cut on the outside of the line so you have a little bit of an edge around. And let's see, for those of you that are hopefully those of you that are attending virtually can see. So this was the line that I traced and I cut a little bit outside. It doesn't have to be, so you can tell it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, great. And as always, I'm just showing you one way to do this. As we are working through things and making together, please be thinking, I wonder what else I could do with this. Because there's always more than one way to do this. And so I love when people are, as you're working through things, if you're thinking, oh, I wonder if I could do this. So that's going to be the top of our hand drum eventually. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to take the portion cup. And just so I know where to punch my holes, actually, I'm going to grab a marker. So we're going to be punching holes on the side, but so I know where to punch those holes out. They're going to be on the top and the bottom and on either side. I just like to put a mark there so I have it about a quarter of the way.
We're making holes on the inside
So
of
then, oh, is there a question on that? Okay, so where I made those marks, I'm just going to use my hole puncher to punch a hole. And I putting the hole punch as far up as I can.
How many holes are we making? 4?
So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in your portion cup now.
I think about those just being 4 evenly spaced holes. You might think of punch a hole at
So they're inside.
3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Right, so top, bottom, side, side.
And then just slipping the cup as far into the hole punch as you can. Those of you who are doing virtually, maybe just using a pencil if you don't have a hole punch.
Yeah, a pencil works fine, and just I would push it in as far as the widest part will go, and that should work. And so then we're going to slip our straw through. So the straw is going up through the top. Now we're going to take, we're going to make what's going to beat on the drum, which are going to be beads. And in your materials, you have some yarn. And you only need about an arm's length of yarn. So I think all of us have about two arm's length of yarn. So if you have this and if you just cut this in half, that should work. And so I'm gonna double that again, because you really only need about a, I always use this to measure about a little more than a foot. So I have 2 pieces of yarn, and now I'm going to push those through the hole. And then loop it around the straw. And then push it through the other side. I have to twist the and then you're going to take your beads out. And so these are going to, the beads are going to be what hits the drum when you twist. So we need to think about, so if this is the end and it has to be short enough that when you twist it, it'll hit. So we have enough yarn so you can tie a knot and then slip a bead through.
Somebody's asking, did you use 2 pieces of yarn there?
Yes. 2 pieces of yarn that are about a foot each. And then I slip the bead through and then I tie a knot. So this knot is going to help the bead stay in place. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to tie my strings or tie the yarn in a knot. Just a simple knot. And then put the bead through one string or one piece and then tie it or secure it with a.
Some people are asking online for a little bit of Zoom. I know we can't move the camera, but maybe as you doing it, kind of lift up a little closer to the camera.
Sure. So I just, if your yarn starts to get frayed, I just snip it at an angle. So it makes a point so you can tie it. So you have the two pieces of yarn that are looped through and then going around the straw and then out the other side, and then the beads tied at either end. Are there any more questions? Nope. Then to make it so the top doesn't slide around when because we want to have it pretty stable, I'm going to, I'll flip this around, but you're going to cut the top of the straw. Or not cut off the top, but you're going to make a slit in the top of the straw. So you can split it open and then push that down and then secure that with a piece of tape. You might need. You might need a couple pieces of tape to, I don't know, mine's. So then we're going to glue the top of the drum on. I'm going to put glue where I trace my circle. And I'm just using a glue stick, but you can use glue stick, liquid glue. You may have to let the hand drum still dry a little bit, but I'll show you some examples. So when it's done, you can see you can decorate, and then this one, this one actually, yeah, this one has 2 bees, but this one has 1. And, you know, you can, since you have that overlap, you can cut little decorative sides, decorate. And so when you, and I would wait until yours is dry, but this one is So you can, when you twist, and make a sound when it hits either side. So again, as we think about this, what is making the vibration? So the beats, when they hit, are making creating the change in the air pressure. But again, when I'm twisting this, I actually feel, not only do I feel or hear, but I can feel, like within the straw and the cup, I can feel it hitting. So again, this is a type of percussion, but what are some other ways you might make a percussion instrument where you're hitting, using materials to hit another object? Would it make a difference if you covered this with a different type of material? Like we used just stiff paper, but
what kind of class of instrument this is. This comes out of South America and Central America. It's called a cuica. Okay, so you're going to need one of your red plastic cups, and you'll need a little bit of string. I should actually get under the camera here. So red plastic cup, some string. And Ethan, does this work with yarn as well, or string is better? String's a little, yeah, string's a little better than the yarn. And then the paper clip. So just those are the only three things we need: cup, string, paper clip. And this is going to be very similar to the cup plucker that Elin had us make a little while ago. There's going to be a couple little differences. So like that, we need to poke a hole in the center of this cup. And a pencil probably won't do that. I'm going to do that with very carefully do that with some scissors here. Just kind of poke a little hole. Turned out to be a little bit more of a slit, but that's okay. I'm happy to hear scissors going through cups with no screams. That's good. No screaming yet. And then we're going to take the string and poke it through that hole from the outside of the bottom into the cup. I might reach through and just pull that through. Yeah. There we go. Now on the outside end of the string, I'm going to tie the paper clip. So this is where it's very similar to that cup plucker idea, but instead of the paper clip being on the inside of the cup, we want it on the outside of the cup. And then I'm going to move the knot there so it's kind of in the middle of the paper clip. You can already kind of hear some interesting things happening, right? Okay, so that's going to hold the string from going through. Now, if we were doing the cup plucker, we might pull that string tight and kind of pluck the string, but there's actually another way to play this, and that is take your fingers and kind of slide them down the string. One thing that helps a little bit is get a little moisture on your fingertips. So if you have, I don't know, lick your fingers, or if you have a bottle of water or something, and that gives a little more tension. kind of sounds to me, does that sound like anything? To me, it sounds like a chicken. So Ethan's got one here. She made her. She actually made it look like a chicken. So that's great.
That was cute.
Oh, like from the mariachis? Oh, like a bass?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, bass. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it, like Scott said, it's the, like the tension, and if you use like, if you have, like a piece of a sponge that you can get wet and use that to pull, or even just a damp paper towel, just, later to try to see if that affects the sound. But it does sound like a
A
chicken.
little bit like a chicken. Yeah. I'm gonna come over here and grab a napkin and get a little moisture on it and see if it. Maybe I'll use a bagel. If you get a bagel and no, yeah. Not really. Let's see. Let's make that a little moist. Ooh, she's using the scissors kind of to help. Ooh, that's with a wet napkin.
Wow.
Wow, that's quite a difference, isn't it? Yeah. Ooh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of moisture actually helps. So for you online, oops. So here's what I was doing. I just grabbed a napkin and put just a little bit of water out of a water bottle on there. And that just really changed what's happening on that string. So now we can experiment with maybe changing, like, how hard do you squeeze? So that's just squeezing very lightly. It sounds like a dying duck. There we go. That's very chicken-like. For our virtual participants, if somebody else is in the room with you and they just are walking by and don't know what's happening, you're going to have to explain to them what all these weird sounds are coming out of your computers. The chicken are hungry. Yeah. Nice.
The bottom part, I saw it. I'm like, what happened to the bottom?
So I think what we'll do now is we're going to take a little break, and we'll call this a play break. So we'll take a break in the room and online, of course. And we would just really encourage you, just experiment a little bit. You've got some materials. You can, take a restroom break, grab some bagels, whatever you want to do, grab a cup of coffee. But is there an instrument you can make on your own? Is there something you've maybe experimented with or discovered since we started of like, wow, how did that sound come out? Or modify something that we've already made, make another one a slightly different way. You might want to spend some time just decorating, making your cuica look like a chicken, or decorating your hand drum. So we'll take about 15 minutes just of play break time. So experiment, play, eat, drink your coffee, whatever you want to do, and we'll be back right at about 10 o'clock. All right, real quickly before we get back onto another musical instrument, just wanted to share with you a couple of resources and some big ideas. There's some handouts on your tables. And at Ames, of course, we're all about play and embodied learning and making, whether that be under the umbrella of STEAM education or math and science. Several years ago, we partnered with Maker Ed and got these resources from them that we wanted to share along with you. So there's some just big ideas for educators in the room. I know that not everybody is an educator, but for those of you who are, here's some resources just about maker-centered learning, what it means to bring making into the classroom, into the learning environment. And another one of those resources is one of the, I want to say thinking routines, but that's something different.
Approaches?
The approaches to maker-centered learning. And the one that we shared with you today is called Tinker to Discover. And there's kind of a template there, what it might look like to make a plan for a lesson or an activity. And then there's a blank one for you on the back. So just wanted to share those ideas with you. One of our core beliefs at Ames is really about the entire student, the entire learner, and we know that we learn through our hands. So we're all about that. So I just wanted to share those with you. And with that, we are going to play some more. Elyn's got a couple more instruments for us. Go ahead, Elyn.
All right, thanks for sharing in the Padlet. I love seeing pictures of what people are creating. It's exciting to see all the variations. So we are going to make a harmonica next out of craft sticks. So you will need, you should have two big craft sticks, wooden craft sticks, a smaller index card, and a big rubber band, a silicone rubber band, and then two smaller rubber bands. Again, we're using, objects you find or you have around you, but we're using them in different ways to make to make instruments or things that make sound. How many of you have ever like played a harmonica? Yeah. So again, thinking about things that vibrate, what do you think is vibrating? Like when you blow into harmonica, what do you think is vibrating? Has anybody ever, like we like to take apart things here at Ames. Has anybody ever like tried to see like what's inside a harmonica? So this is fun because here we're actually going to get to make a harmonica. So you get to see like, you know, what is making the vibration, what is changing that air pressure. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the index card, and I'm going to use a ruler, but it doesn't really have to be like exact. But we're going to measure about 1 inch. Because we're going to need two 1-inch strips cut from the index card. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. You could probably even fold the paper too if you wanted to, you know, measure that way. So I'm going to cut those out. And again, eventually, this is going to become our, you know, we're going to assemble this in a way so it'll make sound when we blow through it. If I blow through it right now, or, you know, I'm trying to blow, and it's not making any sound, just these two craft sticks together. So how could we create a space? So I'm going to wrap one strip around an end of an index or the craft stick, and then just use tape to secure that. And then I'm going to take my other strip of index card and I'm going to wrap it around the other end of my one craft stick and then tape it.
You know, we did have a question about the kind of rubber band or which color of rubber band. I noticed you're using a red one.
Sure, yeah. These may be different colors, but in your materials, you should have the thickest rubber band you have. And you could tell this is made from a slightly different material. This is silicone. So it's a little bit thicker. And then probably the two smallest rubber bands you have. I'm using yellow. Let's see what other. actually, looking at our, we have blue too. The blue may be a little bit smaller, which is, so you could use blue as well. And maybe you can try both to see what happens.
The smaller rubber bands are gonna hold the ends together, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
really the vital one is the big thick one that's gonna go across
Yeah,
the
the most
middle.
important one is this one, because we're gonna place it around this rubber band that we just put the index cards, the strips on. And then we're going to put the other rubber band, or sorry, the other craft stick on top. And we're using the two smaller rubber bands to secure the top craft stick in place. So now we have some space in between our craft stick. So I'm going to try again and see what happens.
I love that our online participants, our cameras are full of smiles. That's great.
So again, if I try to press down and blow, I'm not getting any sound. But again, if I hold it on the ends, a lot of sound. Blowing it in different spots, I get different tones.
I don't know if you guys can hear it online, but this room sounds like it's full of bees right now.
A lot of different, yeah, bees.
Somebody online said it sounds like Donald Duck. We even got an OMG, so cool.
I know, this one is pretty fun.
I wonder if you were to put like tape on the outside.
Ah. So again, what is vibrating? What do we make vibrate? The rubber, yeah, the rubber band.
Rose online shared that she said, I love this one. My dogs, not so much.
Yeah. I know, I wonder if it, because to me, this is a high pitch, and I know what they say, like dogs don't like high pitched noises, a dog whistle, like you can't even hear it because it's such a high. So, so this is the craft stick harmonica. As we were making it, or now that we've made it, what are some things you could play around with? What are some things you could change to try?
Right now I'm gonna put some tape on mine to see if it's easier to maneuver the pop, like to like slide it and make sound. That
Okay.
way, when I do it, I'm not scared of getting a splinter on my leg.
Oh. Yeah, so adding other things to it, what else could you change or try? I was thinking maybe putting the rubber bands either further out, like the ones on that we're securing, either further out or closer in, to see if that makes a difference.
And I put mine on there like really, really tight.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, the tighter or looser. Again, because if I press this close in the middle, it doesn't make a sound. If I,
It sounds like a frightened bee.
yeah. So that's the craft stick harmonica. Again, lots of things you could play around with here. You're making these with kids. The first thing you might want to do is have them write their name, so they're not like sharing harmonicas.
Clearly a post-COVID activity. Could have kids store them in a Ziploc bag.
Just yeah.
I can't. But
Yeah.
I got some talented lips.
That is something, one of our participants shared that they've seen people use just a piece of like an index card as a harmonica. And like, how are they doing that? So that's yeah, interesting. Again, using simple materials. So the last, not the last, but the next instrument we're going to make is called a membranophone. You say that 3 times fast, membranophone. Or I like to call it the glovophone because you do use a glove to make it. Yeah.
When you say gramophone, I'm thinking of like the old machine.
Like a gramophone? Or
Yeah, something like that, but a mixture of the radios they had back then. I don't know what they were called too. Like the little radios with the horns.
like a, yeah, well, a phone is what we use to send and receive like voice sound messages. So that I don't know if you look up the Latin root for that phone, what exactly it means. I bet it has some connection to sound.
Pretty sure it's Greek, and it
Greek.
It means sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're going to need your glove. And these are latex free in case anybody has an allergy. You're going to need scissors. You might need some tape. You are going to need a hole puncher. A rubber band. Your straw. One glove. And let's see. And a piece of paper. Just a regular, we have just colored copy paper. White paper works fine. And a water bottle. The empty, you should have like an empty 8-ounce bottle of water. So the first thing we're going to do is take the cap off of the water bottle. And we need to cut the bottom off. So we're going to use our scissors. And I don't know, I usually try to make like a pinch it so I can make a slit to get in there. And then let's cut the bottom off. This plastic isn't too, it's pretty thin, so it should come off pretty.
Actually, just the cutting process of all those bottles.
I know, it makes
There's a
a
lot of
fun sound.
musical things just happening
Yeah.
in the room, just cutting the bottles open.
I was just thinking that too. I was also, when you guys were making the hole in the plastic cup too, that made a really interesting
Yeah.
sound. Sound is all around us.
Well, it sounds like a rainstorm.
One
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
I was gonna say, one of my favorite recycled projects as an infant toddler teacher that I used to use is, and I discovered it from, I didn't discover it, the infant discovered it for me. But basically it was an empty, formula can that was sitting on the counter, the infant knocked it over. And when it fell, I, like, there were several different forms of sound I heard because the scooper was inside. And when the plastic
Oh.
hit, and then when it rolled over and hit the container, so I decided to tape off the edges and turn those into drums into, so it
Fun.
was just like an exploration of sound center for them.
Nice. Yeah, a lot, those, like the formula cans, or even like Pringles cans, are fun to put things in and then use it as a shaker. Yeah. Okay, so we have the top or the bottom off of our bottle, plastic bottle. So then you're going to use your hole puncher, and you're going to just pick a place and put the hole puncher as far up as you can, and punch a hole. You just need one hole. Eventually, the straw is going to go through there. So you might want to see if a straw fits, and if it doesn't, you can use the hole punch to make it a little bit bigger. So then we're going to take our glove, and we're going to get to cut the fingers off. Haha. So you're going to cut the fingers off, and then you're going to start from where you insert your hand, and you're going to cut it open so you have a fairly big piece of just the latex, or not latex, but just the membrane. That's why it's called a membrane, membranophone. So you should have just a piece like that. And then we're going to put that over the bottom of our bottle and secure it with a rubber band. You just want to make sure that you don't put the rubber band over the see, where's my hole? Oh, so see, my hole is right here. You don't want to cover the hole. You want to still be able to access that.
You want to hold that a little closer to the camera. There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Then we can set that aside, and we're gonna take the piece of paper and you're gonna roll it. And you want it tight enough that it will fit through the opening of the bottle. I don't think I rolled mine tight enough, so I'm just gonna go back and see if I can roll it just a little bit tighter. And it's okay when you put it inside the bottle, just let it, you don't need tape or anything, just let it the paper expand so it fills that up. And you want it to be touching the glove, the piece of the glove. And then you're going to take your straw and find your hole. There it is. And put your straw in so it touches the paper. And that's it. Where do you think?
Yeah,
where-
there's always a few jokes about, I saw one of these in college, right? Yeah. That's not what we're making. All right, just saying.
I know, we're like, what the heck is it? So, where do you think? Okay, so there's a few places I could blow in here. Huh? That doesn't work if I blow.
There we go.
Oh,
There's our
see?
first globophone sound.
Yay.
This one does take a little kind of
Yeah,
tinkering and
tinkling.
maneuvering around.
Yeah. So,
Wait. Ah.
yeah, so this does take a little bit of finagling. Like we're playing around with where you have the straw, the tension of the glove. Holding it upside down, or the way you hold the. So that essentially is the membranophone or the globophone. What things could you tinker with this? What could you adjust?
You lost the room.
I mean, it's good to hear laughter though. That's always a good sign. I already see people playing around with like putting their hand against the paper in a way. We left this long, so I mean, you can adjust the amount of latex. You can adjust you might adjust the tightness of the rubber band.
I don't know, I barely figured it out.
Where you have the straw. This one is, yeah, it's fun. Oh, see, now I lost it.
Yeah.
Oh. So
It's much like the trumpet, not putting the air in your cheek, but trying to blow without blowing.
oh, have you played the trumpet before? Have you?
I tried all the instruments out, but mine, I couldn't get it. It hurt because I didn't.
Yeah, so if we think about this, what is vibrating?
The paper.
Yeah, so so the glove part is vibrating, the paper, it's making the paper vibrate. I can feel the vibration. We almost have a song. I think this is a really great addition to any Halloween parade or fall parade that you have, you know.
So every time I move the straw more towards that way.
You could adjust the type of paper you use.
Did it work?
Or the length of the paper.
Maybe like after you let it dry, because you know it gets all wet.
Scott, are there any questions or no? People playing?
Just
Awesome.
lots of smiles.
Yay.
You see what I mean?
So what type of instrument do we think this is? Is it a trombone? Is it a wind or a
Percussion, wind.
wind?
Ninja wind.
Oh, I lost the slide.
Did you stop the share?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, because are we gonna?
So that's our list of DIY musical instruments. We want to do another kind of play break and maybe another 15 minutes or so. And again, maybe modify something that you have, tinker with maybe combinations of parts, some other things, like I even like what sound you're making right there. Isn't that great? Yeah. And one thing it's I always find kind of interesting to think about when we ask like what's vibrating. Ultimately, the answer to that question is everything. When you really think about it, there is nothing in this universe that isn't moving all the time. Like even this table is vibrating right now, right? And so when we talk about the physics of sound, and if you're in a classroom setting and you need to tie this into some NGSS standards or some science standards, we can talk about the physics of sound and what it means to hear something and sound frequencies, because there's sounds all the time that we don't hear as human beings. When we talk about sound waves moving, we talk about frequency and how often those waves are hitting our ears. And we can hear from about 20 waves per second to about 20,000 waves per second. But that's a very clear window. But that doesn't mean that's the end of sound. There's a lot of things happening out there that we just cannot perceive as human beings. There's other animals that can. There's slower wavelengths that are happening all the time that we don't hear, but other animals can, and they actually use those to communicate. So what's vibrating? Everything, all the time, which is crazy. But anyway, so let's take another about 15-minute break to just play, experiment, use some materials in some unconventional ways, use your existing instruments in some different ways. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do some composing together. We already have the title of our composition.
Yes.
Right? And even online, we're going to invite you to participate as well. So let's say in about 15, let's say at 10 till 11, we'll come back together and we'll do a little bit of sharing out and composing and wrapping up and go from there. All right, why don't we come back together and let's give something a try here. First of all, let's think back about our different kinds of instruments. And one thing that is striking me just looking at these different variations, string, percussion, wind instruments, is the levels of complexity, from extremely complex, like a trumpet or a flugelhorn kind of thing that involves metal work and creating tubes and valves, all the way down to basically what's a stick with some holes in it, right? And there's no one of those instruments is any more legitimate than any other. I mean, none of those instruments have existed forever. So at some point, somebody had to create them. And there's lots of different cultural reasons why they developed in certain ways and maybe stopped developing in certain ways. And it's just fascinating to see how that interacts with different historical connections and cultural connections. And they're all just extremely important to people's lives. And that's just fantastic. So including all the things that we made this morning are no less important than anything that we're looking at on the screen, right? So let's do this. I am completely 100% making this up on the spot. So let's see what happens. What if we called this the first Play Shop Symphony, okay? And if you go to a symphony performance, you'll notice that on the stage, different instruments are kind of grouped together, like all the brass horns sit together and all the string violins sit together and all the percussion. Of course, they always put the drummers in the back, so they're always in the back of the stage. So what if we just pick an instrument and see if you can think about what category it fits into? And what if we just grouped ourselves kind of in the room as these kind of instruments? So what if we had, let's have this kind of over here, this side of the room, let's be this string section. So if you have some kind of a string instrument that you want to perform with, come over here. If you have some kind of a percussion instrument, you are front and center today, all right? So percussion, let's have kind of right in the middle. And then any wind instruments, if you have something that's you're blowing into wind instruments, why don't we be over here? Online, you're going to be our electronic group, okay? Since you're joining us electronically, you are our techno group, and we'll just have you kind of grouped together. So we have 4 sections, all contributing together. So pick an instrument. We'll go percussion in the middle, strings over here, wind over here, electronics are on the screen. And what I'm going to do is I'll give you like, yeah, percussion in the middle. Would you spend 3 minutes and talk to each other in your group and come up with a little musical selection that you're going to share with the symphony, okay? Now, for those of you online, so you guys go talk, compose, come up with your musical part that you're going to come up and share with everybody. For those of you online, oh, I should just look at the camera. When I point to you guys all have to unmute and just go nuts on screen, okay? And we'll hear you in the room. We'll hear you in the room. But you're going to have to unmute. If you want to undo your camera too, that would be great. So, all right, so this is our rehearsal time. So rehearse as a group. Yeah.
Just doing it. It's the same thing over and over. I don't know. And it just, I like
I don't want to add any pressure, but these guys are actually writing stuff down over here. So yeah. No, this is Lost in the Eclipse. Lost in the Eclipse. Yeah. All right, we heard some rhythms developing. Okay, let's go about 1 more minute. Composing, practicing, rehearsing.
you give it that.
All right. So let's come back together. I did like the little conductor one. What do? They tap on the music stand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing we need to do before we perform is we need to actually kind of sound check. Can we have all of our online people unmute and just make some racket for a second? Somebody's got a baby.
I do, sorry.
Yay. All right. So we didn't hear a whole lot. Are we sure we're all unmuted? Yeah.
Is everybody unmuted?
And it looks like I don't see anybody unmuted.
Can you guys hear me? I'm making sound.
There we go. Yeah.
Closer to their.
Yeah, maybe if, when you're playing or making noise, get a little closer to your microphone. You might actually need to go to your Zoom settings and make sure that you have your microphone selected. We're not hearing a.
Going crazy, but I'm not hearing.
Yeah, Joe, we're not hearing. We can see you playing like crazy, but we can't actually hear you in the room. Yeah. But it looks great.
It does look great.
Yeah. Paul Simon wrote a song about that, The Sound of Silence. Right? All right. I don't think there's anything in our settings that we should be able to hear you just.
I don't think we could all talk at the same time. I think that's the problem. Because like if we're doing it one at a time, like it stops and then yeah. I don't think we all could do it at the same time. I'm thinking.
I'm gonna try one thing. I'm gonna try one thing here. Okay, yeah. All right, I don't see it. Well, I'll tell you what, you're still gonna perform. You're still in. We'll just all be quiet and just watch you guys go crazy.
It's like that, what do they have? Like, it's the silent disco where you're pretending, you dance and you're.
Are you
There's
able
no-
to type in the chat? Maybe we can type like our plan to, if they're percussion or if they're stringed or.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would just make all their own noise altogether. Yeah, so, okay, so first of all, we got to get the proper background. Okay, so for our first Play Shop Symphony, there we go. All right. Okay. All right, so you're all on stage now. Okay, so when I point to your section, just perform like crazy, okay? All right, now remember, this is being recorded and it will be on YouTube and there will be, you're all about to become very, very famous. Okay, because I'm pretty sure this is going viral, all right? Pretty sure this is going viral.
It's
Okay.
percussion thing or what? Like, no
Yeah.
matter what, we're always this.
I know. Okay, so here we go, the first performance. Probably the last of the Play Shop Symphony, okay? So we're gonna start with the strings. And a little bit of percussion comes in. We gotta lay out a little bit and over here. All right, everybody go play it? All right, online, go crazy. There we go. Right on. All right, more strings. More winds. All right, percussion. Big finish, big finish. And there we go. And the crowd goes wild. Yeah. All right. Take a bow. Take a bow. Take a bow.
Great.
Thank you. All right, fantastic. And that's pretty much what we've got for you today. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thanks for playing and having fun. It was great to see everybody smiling. Good to see you. Good to see everybody online. Thanks so much.